Welcome back to the Voice of College Football Miami channel. My name is Cam Underwood, State of the U Managing Editor. Please come on over to the website, stateoftheu.com, and fan with us. And if you are here, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video and all of our great videos here with all of your friends. I'm here to talk recruiting updates really quickly because we've had some sizable ones. And I want to be sure that we hit them all just in a really quick kind of a way. I know that, the spring game, was the other day. We're going to, talk about that on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Please be there, and in other things. But yeah, wanted to transition to the roster building component with just a couple of quick updates, all of them being major players. So without any further ado, I'm going to get started. So first of all, as you see on the screen, Jaelen Seatbelt Waters, a 4-star, borderline 5-star commit, 6'2", 180-pound cornerback from Seffner Armwood, who has previously been committed to both Florida State and Florida in that order, is now committed to Miami and has tweeted out himself, locked in, will not take any official visits except to the U. So that's a good sign. Obviously, things can change, but as of right now, or April the 9th, so a few days ago, as I'm recording this video, he's come out and said, not looking anywhere else, not going anywhere else, shutting things down. And at a certain point, you do have to shut down your recruitment so that you can get to where you want to get to. And so getting a player like Jaelen Waters to shut down his recruitment is pretty big. This is a guy, again, who was committed to the other two major programs in the state of Florida, the other two of the big three. And he has the kind of talent that everybody in America wants. So getting him to shut that down is a good step in the right direction. He, is one of several defensive back commits in this class as Miami, through the portal and recruiting, do try to upgrade and rebuild that secondary. Similar to him, the most recent commit, Jontavius Wyman, previously committed to Georgia, flipped from Georgia to Miami. And he says, after careful consideration, he is officially shutting down his recruitment and 100% committed to the University of Miami. And if you think, hey, this sounds a lot like what Jaelen Waters said, I believe it is the exact same text. And this is Mr. Wyman standing next to head coach Mauro Cristobal this past weekend, or I think from his official visit or unofficial visit, excuse me. Either way, this is another good get. This is another major move for Miami when you have, a major blue chip recruit from the state of Georgia, was committed to the University of Georgia, flips here, and then shuts it down. And you can tell that he copied this because you have that random end or close quotation, but not one at the beginning. Either way, whether he copied that or not, it is the underlying statement and sentiment that brings me here today. So you have Jaelen Waters and you have Jontavius Wyman. Just two blue chip, the bluest of blue chip recruits who are shutting down their recruitment, looking at Miami exclusively from here on out. Shout out to Zach Etheridge. Shout out to Will Harris, the defensive backs coaches and the lead recruiters for those guys in getting them committed and then getting them also to make that move to shut down their recruitment. So in terms of shutting down your recruitment, obviously 17, 18, 19-year-olds, things can change. But if you are Miami and now in a stronger place as a program than when, Manny Diaz or Mark Richt or any of these other coaches were here, where you saw a lot more game playing from recruits, and many recruits have openly said this over previous years. Look, I committed to Miami early as a placeholder. It's a major name team. It's a major national brand. I have a spot to go somewhere. And then after that, I basically pimped them for the offer that I really wanted, whether that's Alabama, O State, Georgia, Florida State, even back in the day, things like that. you're seeing that power dynamic flip. And, they do have protocols in place. They say, we will take your commitment early. If you're a Kenton Dobson III in the next recruiting class, who, remember, committed on his late mother's birthday. If you want to commit early, smooth. But this is what commitment means to us. And if you're willing to abide by these parameters that we're saying, the rules of engagement that we are laying out, by all means. It's not for everybody. And of course, like, players can change their mind. And at a time, they can say, yeah, I'm committed. And all that entails with your rules and structures, something might change. But in terms of the program being stronger, Miami's not getting pimped by players for offers and money and things from other schools. Now, we've seen other schools come over the top with, lies about the amount of money University of Florida allegedly. The contract was 13.85 that they gave to Jaden Rashada without the intent of fulfilling that. So yeah, but allegedly for legal purposes. But you've seen other teams like that come in over the top with extra money and things like that. Money can change people's minds. But to this point, both Jaelen Waters and Jontavius Wyman within the last week have stated their intent to solely focus on the University of Miami in terms of recruiting, being committed to Miami, not taking official visits anywhere else. Boom. It's interesting that they said official visits because, you can sneak on campus and do all kinds of other things. But hey, we're going to focus on the bright side, right? So they are focused on Miami moving forward. Now, the first name on the list of this video, and I'm sure the one that you wanted to hear about, is Jackson Carver, the 5-star offensive tackle from Nixa, Missouri. And this is literally, I saw the tweets and then I carved out some space to hop on this video right here in the middle of the day because this is like an immediate reaction kind of a thing. So as I go and share my screen, we're going to talk a little bit about this one. So the first one I saw was from On3, and it said, okay, Jackson Cantwell, the OV part. It will now take his official visit to Oregon in 2 weeks for their spring game. Cool. Quoted it from State of the U, or the State of the U on Twitter, which is at the State of the U, by the way, and said, okay, cool. Hey, he, moved this up in front of his Miami visit, which is scheduled for the first full weekend in May. Actually, no, second weekend. It's supposed to be May 9th. Anyways, then I saw this one from Hayes Fawcett, which came out around the same time, who works for On3. And he said, Jackson Cantwell has told Fawcett that he will announce his commitment on April the 30th. The number one recruit in the nation will choose between Georgia, Miami, Oregon, and Ohio State. He will now take his official visit to Oregon April 26th and 27th. This is a little different than just moving up an official visit because of the impending commitment date being part of the conversation as well. And Jackson Cantwell himself had previously tweeted, his top 6 finalists. A couple of those teams have gone by the wayside, being Michigan and Missouri. The other 2 from the finalist list that's listed here that are no longer being considered or included. And he tweeted those top 6 out, quoted it last week, said, might be closer to a decision than I thought. And all of the reporting, even from Hayes Fawcett, even from others at On3, 247, conversations with people I've had behind the scenes, conversations that others have had behind the scenes and on camera, whether that be, other podcasts, other, content creators and things like that. The real 3 here are those top three on the list: Miami, Georgia, and Oregon. There was an Oregon insider who put out there last weekend that Oregon does not expect to be in the conversation for Jackson Cantwell. They are not optimistic. Everything that they have heard is pointing elsewhere being Miami. And Miami has felt for a long time that they're in a strong position with Jackson Cantwell. They have done everything that they can. Let me stop sharing the screen to get Jackson Cantwell on campus multiple times. He's taken 3 unofficial visits, if you consider a game visit last year, and then 2 unofficial offseason visits since the end of last season. So I believe he came down for the Florida State game. Let me just confirm that. I'm pretty sure he did. See all 38 entries. I know this is terrible content creation while I'm doing this. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So he's been on campus 3 times in the last 7 months, give or take. Jackson Cantwell has, and that's huge for Miami. A feature that's still up on the stateoftheu.com website, a feature I wrote in 2018, the recruiting rules. Follow the visits is one of those rules. And basically, I state there, and I stand by it, and I've had this confirmed by people who work in the industry and at many schools. What I've put out there is accurate. To really have a shot at an out-of-state 5-star, you got to get them on campus at least once as an unofficial to go pair with their official visits. Jackson Cantwell has tripled that. So unofficial visits being paid for by the recruit by their families. So he lives in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, and he's come down to Miami on their own dime multiple times. That those connections belie intent. So that's really good. Now, the fact that you're moving up the commitment feels optimistic for Miami because Miami's been pushing and trending so positively with Jackson Cantwell. Having the Oregon visit now moved up, to just days before the commitment date. You can read this a couple of different ways. I'm going to give you both. Believe what you want, think what you want. This is how I see it. In the positive for Miami view, it is, we have shown Jackson Cantwell and his family multiple times that we are fully committed to his growth, development, and excellence. And getting him on this roster, a roster that is based and founded around the offensive line, is essential to our continued success. We have made every move towards that. I'm sure that the NIL structures at Miami have made it very clear that he will be well compensated to make this decision, comparative to the market, comparative to other teams, whatever it is. And having done so much early work with Jackson Cantwell, recruiting him since he's a sophomore in high school, or even before, both of his parents being Olympic shot put throwers, and their coach who got them to the Olympics, coaches at the University of Miami, showing the school life, balance in Miami, having the culture fit him, doing all of those things. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we've done our work early. We've gotten him on campus 3 times in the last 7 months, 2 times this offseason, made the pitch, talked to him, done all of these things, I's dotted, T's crossed. So we are the school that has precipitated him feeling closer to a decision than he originally thought. If this is the view of the situation you are taking, then it is largely inconsequential, even though things happen on official visits and, minds get changed, but it is just the final piece of the confirmation for Cantwell will be going to Eugene, being around that program for a couple of days, seeing their spring game, and knowing firmly and finally that Miami is the pick, because he's already scheduled his commitment date before taking the official visit out there to Eugene, a place where he has not visited 3 times in 7 months, right? So all of the things for Miami pointing in that way, and in comparison, could lead you to believe that that's the positive view of this changed timeline and official visit situation with Jackson Cantwell. Hopefully, that's how that goes. Commits on April the 30th, backs that up with an official visit to Miami May 9th. Boom, done and dusted. We're good, right? That's one way to look at it. I pretty enjoy that one, actually. The other way that this scenario can be viewed is, despite what the Oregon Insider said, despite the perception across the industry, not just in the Hecht Athletic Center, right, but across the industry, that Miami was trending for Jackson Cantwell, he's quietly held a torch for Oregon. As he's seen some of these places, I think he's been to Oregon maybe once. I don't think he's been 3 times, but he feels that affinity. Maybe the small college town West Coast life more to his liking. And he says, okay, I'm pretty sure that even though I've gone to these other places more, I feel connected out west with the Ducks more. And so instead of, and originally when he first scheduled his official visits, Oregon was the last one at the very end of June, was when that was supposed to happen. Now we're going to move that up by 2 months, set a commitment date, because there had not been a commitment date, but that commitment date coming just days after my visit to Eugene. So this is the last, last thing, the last, couples trip, the last time, hey, we're going to go to a wedding out of town, see if that works. Cool, buying a ring, getting engaged, because once we're back from that out of town trip, once we're back from that wedding where we're all around all of my college friends and everything, and my partner's with me, and now everybody you fit into my life, and we can see this going long term. Cool, done. Buy the ring, go to the beach, do whatever, right? You could see that one where it's later in the process, but more impactful towards the thought process and commitment of Jackson Cantwell. There's that view that can be taken as well. If you are the University of Georgia, largely presumed to be the 3rd major finalist, or Ohio State, who in recent reporting had fallen way down. I mean, it was really Miami, Georgia, Oregon, and then the other 3 of Ohio State, Michigan, and Missouri were not consequential. But if you're Georgia or you're Ohio State, you really want to take the first viewpoint example. I'm a Miami alum. I ain't got no love for any of those other teams, so I'm not going to, wax poetic about that. But it'd be, okay, he's taken unofficial visits to Columbus and to Athens before, that are very similar, even if the number of visits is not the same. But I respectfully submit that the number of visits being different for Miami is a big positive in their direction. So we shall see here pretty soon, as I'm recording this on April the 14th. So in, just over a fortnight of time, we're going to really see, how things shake with Jackson Cantwell. I know Miami feels very confident. I know Miami's been doing yeoman's work in that recruitment and will continue to do so, and continue to recruit a plethora of other offensive linemen. But when you have the number 1 player in America, clearly they're the number 1 player on your list. So, it is, we're in the home stretch, whichever way that goes. But yeah, Miami has to feel confident here, and we'll continue to push. I'm sure it's not just going to be, hey, we're going to do our own thing and just let him go visit Eugene and not say anything, not, go through all the structures, policies, procedures that we have in place for recruiting. But it is hey, this is where you want to be in this recruitment. This is, this is closing time. And I know that, all of the other teams that are, listed in that Hayes Fawcett tweet, Oregon, O State, and Georgia are major recruiting powers. So is Miami. This is where you want to be. You've had them on campus multiple times. You have that personal connection. You have the coaching foundation. You have the, the parental connection to the track program at the University of Miami, and their former, Olympic coach and everything. You have all of those things, and you're going to have to work to just get it closed and across the finish line. It will not be easy. And I'm not saying that to put anxiety on you, because, I know that there are lots of people who have that. But yeah, overall, I think that getting a commitment date scheduled and closing out the process with Jackson Cantwell hopefully bodes well for the University of Miami. But with Jaelen Waters and Jontavius Wyman shutting down their recruitments, focusing on Miami, the weeks, if not more than a month, of positive momentum internally and kind of known across the recruiting world with Jackson Cantwell, Miami has to feel in a good spot. But there's miles to go before we sleep, and there's work to be done. But we are in a good spot. We'll continue to do what we need to do, and hopefully doing what we need to do, how we need to do it, when we need to do it, ends up with Jackson Cantwell committing to the University of Miami and becoming foundational to the offensive line, the Great Wall of Mirabal moving forward. So I ended up talking a little bit longer about the Jackson Cantwell situation than I initially thought, but I think that the conversation was worthy and worthwhile for you all. And yeah, so hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Are you team A? Hey, Miami did their work early. We're all good. Are you team B? He moved up his commitment date, or he set a commitment date, and it's right after he goes to Oregon, and I don't know, or something else, or maybe a collection of both. In any event, please be sure, like it says on the scroll at the bottom, like, comment, subscribe. I will be back soon with more Miami content. We will talk to you soon. See ya.